Good afternoon, boys and girls. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Very glad you could make it today. My background, real quickly, I'm board certified in chiropractic, I'm board certified in orthopedics, I'm board certified in pain management, and I'm board certified in nutrition. I'm a syndicated radio show host, and today we're going to talk about how to get well. Because people come to me all the time, even beforehand when folks were coming in. They said, Dr. Joe, can I ask you about digestion? Can I ask you about emotional issues? Can I ask you about back pain, shoulder pain? Everybody wants to get well, and yet nobody seems to know where to turn. And then one fellow I was talking to says, Dr. Joe, I have your tape, The 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition. He says, the one thing I love about it is you make it so simple. So I want to keep it real easy for you. If you want to get well, there's 3 things you have to have. That's it. Isn't that cool? 3 things in order to get well. The first thing is a normally functioning nervous system, because the nervous system controls everything. Can we agree to that? Right? Okay. The way the nervous system works, your brain sits up here, right? Most cases. Brain sends messages down the spine, out the nerves to every cell in the body. So every cell has to have clear running nerves from the brain to the body. Pretty simple. Then we have to have a normally functioning digestive system. And this is big. You ever watch TV? What's like every 3rd commercial for? Something about digestion, right? Everybody's got it. Nobody talks about it. Digestion. Then the 3rd thing we have to have is good nutrition. So let's talk about digestion first. I want to start with that. I joke that 85% of my patients have digestive problems. 15% lie. Because we all have it. Gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. It's not dating conversation. Hi, I'm Joe. Nice to meet you. First date. I got a little digestive problems tonight. It's not something we talk about. But the digestive system is key because you have to be able to absorb your nutrients and pass out your waste products. If you can't absorb your nutrients and pass out your waste products, you cannot be healthy. I don't care how many supplements you take. I don't care how good you eat, if you're a pure raw foodist, vegan, vegetarian. You have to be able to absorb your nutrients and pass out your waste products. And then we have to have the good nutrition. So let me tell you first how the body works. Then we'll go into what we call the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. The way the body works is real simple. You take food. As soon as you start to think about food, you start digesting it. Isn't that wild? It's not when you look at the food. It's not when you taste the food. It's when you think about it. Try an experiment. Okay? Everybody imagine a big juicy lemon. Got it? This big juicy lemon, and you're going to cut it open. You smell it? Now once you cut a slice out, bite it. What just happened? Start salivating, right? Yeah. So it's when you think about food is when you start getting the digestive action starting. The salivary glands work, the digestive enzymes are released, your body starts digesting food as soon as you think about it. So you're going to take a piece of food, you're going to swallow, it's going to go down your throat, it's going to go through a sheet of muscle called the diaphragm. It's got a little hole in it. Drops through the diaphragm, goes into your stomach. Your stomach sits right here, by the way. Your stomach gently churns that food up and passes it into the small intestine. Your small intestine is where the nutrients get absorbed. Waste products are passed out, goes into your large intestine, then it goes out. That's perfect. However, what happens with some people, and in fact most people, is at some point in your life you ate a big meal. Right? Okay. We all have. You ate a big meal, the stomach swelled and pushed up against the diaphragm. If it ruptures up through the diaphragm, it's called hiatal hernia. There you go. Isn't that common? And then you get what? Gastroesophageal reflux disease, heartburn, belching. Watch TV. What are all the commercials for? These little pills. Now what happens is if you've got heartburn, what do we try to do? We give you a pill to do what? Neutralize your stomach acid, right? Let me have you think a different way. What if acid reflux and gastroesophageal reflux disease is not caused by too much acid? What if it's caused by too little acid? Because think about it, you've probably tried these pills, they don't work. Why don't they work? You're treating the wrong thing. Now you eat food, gets in your stomach breaks it down, passes it into the small intestine, that's perfect. If you don't have enough digestive enzymes, the food sits in your stomach for too long. And if it sits there for too long, it rots. And it gives off lactic acid, different type of acid. An aha moment. I love aha moments. You're all going to have those today, by the way. You're going to go, well, that makes sense. An aha moment. And so lactic acid is produced. That's what's coming up. That's what irritates you. So what we need to do is get more acid in your stomach to break the food down faster, to pass it out into the small intestine. Because if it doesn't go down, it comes up. Got that? So how can we do that? We got to get our digestive system working like a child. Anybody ever have kids? Been around kids? Anybody ever been a kid? Okay, yeah, okay, most of you? Okay, good. So, still are. So, Kids eat anything, and they grow. Isn't it amazing? You watch a kid. The kid's eating French fries and those little round cereals and donuts, and they're growing. You can't eat like you used to. Remember when you were in college? Right? Pepperoni pizza, 6-pack of beer, 2 hours of sleep, back to school again. Can't do that anymore, can you? Because as a child, you have a lot more digestive enzymes than you do as an adult. You wear out your supply. One of the things we have to stimulate in order to get back to acting like a child is a thing called hydrochloric acid, which we just talked about. So how can we do that? How can we get more hydrochloric acid in our body? Very simple. I'm going to give you, this is the $10,000 tip right now, okay? Probably a $20,000 tip. It's something you have in your kitchen cabinet right now. In fact, the one lady I was talking to, she says, oh, I have that. I have that in my cabinet. Not baking soda. That's going to create alkaline. We want to create a little more acid. Apple cider vinegar, right, exactly. Here's your $30,000 tip. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to take at least 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Okay? Not that hard, is it? It is sour, I know. I don't like it, actually. Now, if you don't like it, I want you to mix it with a tablespoon of honey. How about that? No honey. Not if you're a vegan. Oh, that's true. Maple syrup, grade B maple syrup. You know why grade B? Everybody says grade B. No one says why. Grade B is taken at the end of the season. Has a lot more vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in it. Another aha moment, see? Okay, everybody's having one today, I promise. So great, agave nectar would work if you want to sweeten it just a little bit. Okay, but do the apple cider vinegar. What I do in the morning is I have 24 ounces of water next to my bed, and I have a little shot glass of apple cider vinegar. And when I wake up in the morning, I drink a little water, take my shot glass of apple cider vinegar, make that face, drink the rest of the water, and get on with my day. Now, why do I do that? Because if you're like me, you're lazy. Because by the time you get out of bed, and you go into the bathroom, and then you go into the kitchen, and then the phone rings, and maybe you got kids, and the TV's on, you're making breakfast, you're running late, oh my gosh, my shirt's wrinkled. You're not going to get it done. So you got to get it done right away. And if you do it right as soon as you get out of bed, what's going to happen is it's going to start producing more hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes. You can even swish it around in your mouth, which is going to create saliva. Remember we talked about starting the digestive process up here? Wow. And then when you have breakfast, you're able to break down your breakfast, get the nutrients out of it. You're going to have a lot more energy. So it's going to help increase your metabolism. Increase your metabolism helps burn calories, helps build up muscle mass. I know as long as I'm doing my apple cider vinegar, I don't have love handles. If I forget, go on vacation, don't have apple cider vinegar, whoop, pop right out again. Start the apple cider vinegar in, sucks them right in. So it's really neat. And now you're breaking down your food better, you're getting more nutrients. You're getting more nutrients, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. Your mind's going to be clearer. If you're a coffee drinker, you're going to be drinking less coffee. Now, I said a lot of water with this. The reason we need water is because, clinically speaking, everyone in this room is clinically dehydrated. Statistically speaking, we all are. None of us drink enough water. And let me explain it to you, Lucy. Let me explain why. Because if you've ever been around a kid, kids do what? They want a drink all the time. You can't leave the house without your sippy cup. You still can't, I know. But no, you can't leave your house without your sippy cup because kids are always thirsty. The reason is this. One part of the brain in a child controls thirst. Another part of the brain controls hunger. So a child can differentiate between hunger and thirst. As we get older, those two parts of the brain grow together. Another aha moment, see? And as those two parts of the brain grow together, you can't distinguish between hunger and thirst. So oftentimes when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So here's a weight loss tip. 10 minutes before every meal, have a big glass of water. 10 minutes before you eat anything, have a big glass of water. And you're going to eat less food. Because that wasn't aha, that was ooh. So you're going to eat less food because you're not going to be as hungry. The other tip is this. It takes 20 minutes to get the message from here to here. Pretty neat. So if you eat for 20 minutes nonstop, when do we do that? Thanksgiving, right? Sit down with all this food. You feel awful. So what I want you to do is I want you to go against what your mother told you. I want you to ruin your appetite. Before you sit down to a meal, I want you to have a snack. And what's going to happen is that's going to curb the hunger because it takes 20 minutes to get the message from here to here. So if you have a snack 10, 15, 20 minutes before the meal, by the time you sit down, you're not as hungry. You're not going to eat as much. Ah, pretty cool, huh? So that alone was worth coming here today. But what happens is when you eat food, acid in the stomach, then it passes into your small intestine. Your small intestine has to neutralize that acid. Because if that acid gets into your small intestine, it burns a hole in your small intestine. We call that an ulcer. An ulcer. There you go. It's an ulcer. So the pancreas, you always think the pancreas is for what? Insulin, right? Your pancreas produces insulin, it produces enzymes that break down protein, carbohydrates, fats, and it produces a thing called bicarbonate. Bicarbonate is what? Baking soda. It produces kind of like baking soda, and it needs water to produce this baking soda. So you have the acid food, you got your stomach producing enough acid. The food is broken down relatively quickly. It passes into the small intestine. The small intestine has to be acid has to be neutralized by the pancreas. And it squirts out an alkaline, a bicarbonate, to neutralize the acid. You have to have enough water to produce the bicarbonate. If you don't have enough water, your stomach can't pass the food into the small intestine because it can't neutralize it. It'll burn a hole in it, so the food stays in your stomach too long. Stays in the stomach too long, it rots. If it rots, it gives off lactic acid. Lactic acid causes the reflux. So a lot of your digestive problems are because you're dehydrated. Wow. Isn't that easy? Okay. So what we need to do then is make sure we're drinking enough water, get the apple cider vinegar. You can do apple cider vinegar before every meal if you want to. That'll get you stimulated. Okay, 2 tablespoons, that's all you need. Actually do 2 teaspoons if you wanted to, but 2 tablespoons I find works best for me. Make sure you're drinking your water. You're not going to be thirsty. If you're thirsty, you're already way into dehydration mode. So you need to not get to the point of being thirsty. Okay, with me so far? Okay. So that's how we get the stomach working. Now, if our digestive system isn't working properly, it becomes inflamed. And if it becomes inflamed, we have words for that. Irritable bowel syndrome, colitis, Crohn's disease, tummy ache. Your small intestine becomes inflamed because the acid is getting into the small intestine, not being neutralized, and or the food isn't being broken down properly, so that's going to irritate the small intestine. So what happens in the small intestine? We absorb nutrients, pass out waste products. If it's all inflamed, you can't absorb your nutrients, you can't pass out your waste products, and in the small intestine we have bacteria. And these bacteria produce something called, diverticulum is down a little lower. It produces B vitamins. So you have to have the good bacteria in order to produce the B vitamins. Follow? So if the small intestine isn't working, you can't absorb your B vitamins. B vitamins are necessary for muscle, for nerves, for emotions. There's a neurotransmitter in your body called serotonin. You've probably heard of it, right? Serotonin's a neurotransmitter that makes you happy. So if you have a digestive problem, you're not breaking down your proteins, you're not getting the B vitamins, you need an amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan combines with B vitamins to produce serotonin. Now there's a little trick here, another aha moment coming up. 95% of all the serotonin in your body is not produced or utilized in your brain. It's produced and utilized in your digestive system. 95% of it. So if your digestive system isn't working, there's not enough serotonin to go around, so to speak. And so what happens is your serotonin levels drop. And then we start to have names for that. Some of the names when serotonin levels drop: anxiety, depression, bipolar, attention deficit disorder, suicidal. I've never had anyone that had a clinical emotional disorder that didn't have a digestive problem, ever. In the decades I've been practicing, I've never had someone. And once you stabilize this, this starts to improve. That's why treating this doesn't work. The problem isn't here, it's here. Wow. So when you get the digestive system working, the emotions stabilize. And another thing, too, is you're ticklish. If there's an emotional disorder, you're ticklish right here. Why? You're protecting your digestive system. Okay? Makes sense? So once we stabilize the digestive system, your ticklishness goes away. I can get somebody, poke them, and they scream. Work on your digestive system. We take the stomach, we pull it back down to its normal position. We do some trigger points. We rub the valve in here called the ileocecal valve. And then what happens is I poke them again. It's not ticklish anymore. Ticklishness is a defense mechanism. It's exactly what your body's supposed to do. It's protecting yourself. Wow. And what else happens if the small intestine stays inflamed? If the small intestine stays inflamed, the body has to produce anti-inflammatories. A great anti-inflammatory is produced by your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands do what? They produce adrenaline. They produce prostaglandins, which is part of the immune system and the inflammatory reaction. They produce cortisol, which is a stress hormone, but it's also part of an anti-inflammatory reaction like a corticosteroid. And if you're constantly inflamed and constantly stressing your adrenal glands, eventually your adrenal glands just poop out. And they can't produce like they used to. If they can't produce like they used to, the inflammation starts to go wild. So what we have to do is stimulate the adrenal glands. And it's a very simple technique to do that. And I showed one lady over there before. There's a trigger point right here between your clavicle and your sternum. Everybody poking around there. You got to push until it's sore. You'll find it. It's a soft spot right below your clavicle, right where your sternum and your clavicle come together. Push hard. It'll be a sore spot. That's the trigger point to your adrenals. And when we get a break, I can go around and show you everybody. You rub that point for 30 seconds on one side and 30 seconds on the other side. And what will happen is after you start getting the adrenal glands back online, you'll get a rush of energy. I just got a rush right now. Pretty cool. That's free. But then you get the adrenal glands working again. That's going to give your energy back. Because how many people are tired? When you're tired, many times you're not tired. You're just dehydrated or your adrenal glands are shut down. Get the adrenal glands working. It produces the corticosteroids and the anti-inflammatories. It gets the adrenaline working. It gets your energy levels back up. So what did we just do? In the past 10 minutes, we explained to you, number one, how your digestive system works, but more importantly, what you can do to fix it. Isn't that cool? I must work on 20 digestive systems a day in my practice. That's how common it is. Like I said, everybody's got it. Nobody talks about it. Patients come in. I ask, any digestive problems? Nope. 10 visits later. Well, you know, doc, I remember you asked me one time. Now that we're friends, I can tell you about this. And it's amazing. Once you get the digestive, everybody's out there. It's so funny. I wish the people on camera could see this. Everybody in the audience is doing this. That alone, that's a $50,000 tip right there. Imagine that. You're driving, you're tired, you rub this point, you get 2-3 hours worth of energy. Wouldn't that be cool? If I have time at the end, I'm going to show you a little exercise you can do. It takes 30 seconds to reboot your brain. Anybody get brain fog aside from me? Okay? I'm going to show you an amazing exercise if we have time at the end. Your job is to remind me. Okay? 30-second exercise gives you 3 hours of clear thought and energy. And it takes no equipment. All you need your arms and your legs. I'll show you how to reboot the brain. All right, let's talk about nutrition now. Everybody okay on digestion? How to get that out of the way, because talking about nutrition isn't going to do you a whole lot of good. It's like putting good gas in a car but not tuning it up. Yes, you can do blackstrap molasses or maple syrup, either one. Any type of sweetener. If you want to mix it with the apple cider vinegar, that's fine. Okay? I'll tell you what, let's do the questions at the end. Okay? I may answer it for you. Okay, let's talk about the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. There are 7 foods that if you put in your body are going to make you sick. That's not bad. There's 120,000 foods if you put in your body going to nourish your body. So here's the deal. I'm going to offer you $120,000. I want you to give me 7 back. No strings attached. Fair deal? It's not going to happen. This is in fantasy land, okay? But that's pretty fair, isn't it? Okay, you probably give me 8 back, right? You're generous. Hey, take another one. 120,000 good foods. 7 you shouldn't eat. Well, there's really 8. Okay, if you smoke, you can pretty much ignore what I'm going to say anyway. Don't smoke. But the 7 foods, ready? Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. My gosh, that's everything. Most people eat alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, and they avoid the other 120,000 foods. That's the average person, right? We call it the SAD diet, the Standard American Diet, or SAD. That's the SAD diet. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So let's talk about those, okay? Let's talk about alcohol. Alcohol destroys what? Brain cells. How many people knew that? How many people forgot that? You and you. Alcohol destroys brain cells. Your brain controls what? Everything. We just said that. The brain sends messages down the spine, out the nerves to every cell in the body. If you destroy the brain cells, the brain can't send the messages down the spine. The body can't work. Now, you've heard that red wine is good for you, right? We've all heard that. It's good for your what? Your heart. It's good for your heart. I saw it too. It's on TV. It must be true. TV never lies, do they? Red wine is good for your heart. However, it's not the wine that's good for your heart. It's the red that's good for your heart. Why isn't white wine good for your heart? Why isn't beer good for your heart? Why isn't scotch good for your heart? If it's the alcohol that's good for you, it's not the alcohol. Now, the alcohol does relax you, but it's also a dehydrator. Dehydrates you. Right? You ever notice that? You drink 1 beer, you pee out 3? Where'd the other 2 beers come from? Your body is giving up its own fluid to flush the alcohol out of the system because it's better to be dehydrated than brain dead. Ah, interesting. So don't drink, but if you do drink, don't, but if you do. 3 glasses of water for every glass or shot of alcohol. That's fair. If you can drink 1 and pee out 3, you might as well have those 3 put back in. Number 1, you're going to be so busy going to the little boys and girls room that you won't have time to drink anymore. And number 2, you're going to prevent the dehydration. Pretty neat, huh? So alcohol is not the drink of choice. Even red wine. If you want to get the benefits, drink grape juice. Or better yet, eat the grapes. There's an idea. Then you get fiber too. What a concept. So alcohol, not the drink of choice. Okay? Let's talk about sugar. Sugar gives you what? Energy. It's on TV. Must be true. Sugar doesn't give you energy. Sugar robs your body of energy. Sugar is what we call an empty calorie. And when you put an empty calorie in your body has to do what? Process it. Your body uses what to process it? Vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So you're robbing energy from your body. And what happens is it's a stimulant. It's an irritant. So you put the sugar in and you feel this rush of, ooh, I feel good. But in reality, all you're doing is trying to speed up your body's ability to detoxify and get it out of the system. Pretty nifty. So sugar is not something that's going to give you energy, and it actually robs the body of energy. Now, sugar causes your body to produce insulin. Insulin kind of goes into the cells, opens up the cells, says, all right, come on in, sugar. We're ready for you. But then what happens is if all the cells are filled up with sugar, and you still have sugar floating around in your blood, sugar is a mild acid. Your body can't function with acid in the blood. So your body has to neutralize that acid. Your body uses what as its primary neutralizing agent? Calcium. You're sucking calcium out of your body. Another aha moment. Your body is using calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. And that goes for all the 7 deadly sins. They're all acid. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. They will all rob the body of calcium. The major cause of osteoporosis is not too little calcium. If it were true, if you had too little calcium and you took calcium supplements, you wouldn't have osteoporosis, right? Problem solved. The problem, in most cases, is too much acid. So sugar robs the body of nutrients. How much sugar in a can of soda? Any idea? 30, 40, 50? 9 teaspoons. There you go. It's a man who has a copy of my tapes. 9 packages of sugar in 1 can of soda. Some have up to 13. 9 packages of sugar. If I were to give you 9 packs of sugar and dump it down your throat, that wouldn't taste too good. And yet we put it in soda. But some of you are smarter than me. You don't drink regular soda. You drink diet soda. How much time we got? I could talk for hours on diet soda. Of all the things I can teach you, in my opinion, absolutely, positively, the worst thing you can put in your body is artificial sweetener. Aspartame. Aspartame is what's known as an excitotoxin. When it gets into the body, it causes the nerve endings to fire faster than they're supposed to. And it excites the brain, literally burning out your brain cells. Some of us can't afford to lose those brain cells. Okay? But it's an excitotoxin. 92 side effects recognized by the Food and Drug Administration. Headaches being number 1. Dizziness, blurred vision, loss of memory, fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome. I gave a seminar one time to a group of fibromyalgia patients. Boy, there's an exciting bunch, huh? And I said this to the group, and one lady says, so this, and she pulls out a purse, and she has in her purse another purse full of little packets, the little blue packets of artificial sweetener. She says, I do this all day. Now, the reason I got interested in artificial sweetener is this. Years ago, I had a friend of mine, and she asked me to go to an AA meeting with her. Now, I didn't know taking a non-alcoholic to an AA meeting was a big deal. And I walk into the meeting. There's 4 of my patients. How am I explaining that I'm at the But I'm sitting there watching these folks, and they're drinking coffee and they're smoking cigarettes, but a lot of them are drinking diet soda. And I couldn't figure out why skinny people drinking diet soda didn't make sense to me. Why aren't they drinking regular soda? So when I started doing the research, I found out what aspartame is made of. It's essentially 3 components: aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. Aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters, when they get into the body, cause a lot of problems. And methyl esters converts to methanol. Methanol is what? Wood alcohol. They were getting drunk at the AA meeting. Isn't that incredible? That's why they were hooked on the diet sodas and not the regular sodas, because it had alcohol in it. Aspartic acid and phenylalanine, when it gets into the brain, lowers your serotonin levels. Remember serotonin? Lowers your serotonin level. Could that cause mood problems? Yeah, And it also lowers what's called your seizure threshold. You're more likely to have seizures. There's an aha moment. You're more likely to have seizures if you're using artificial sweeteners. Wow. I hope that soon aspartame is taken off the market. It is absolutely positively, in my opinion, one of the worst things you can put in your body, absolutely positively by far. Now there's a new one out. We're getting away from the blue packets. We're going to what? The yellow packets. Yellow packets is sucralose. Sucralose is a chlorinated hydrocarbon. Real quick, we take sugar, we go through a 5-step process, we chlorinate the hydrocarbon. When chlorinated hydrocarbons get into your body, they stimulate your estrogen receptor sites. Causes your body to produce more estrogen. Now, aside from a little baby here, all of us are done growing. So we don't need any more estrogen. Estrogen is what? A growth hormone. And if we're not growing this way and we don't grow this way, we cause abnormal cell growth. Abnormal cell growth is called what? Cancer. That's not any better. So we don't want to use that either. Okay? Remember the little saccharin packets? We used to say right on there, can cause cancer. Doesn't say it anymore. You know why you never saw it? It was written in pink. It was pink on pink. Isn't that sneaky of them? So, I would strongly advise to stay away from all artificial sweeteners. Yes? No, let me get the questions at the end, okay? Now, there are sweeteners that are good. How about that? There's stevia. Anybody hear stevia? Stevia is a sweetener 300 times sweeter than sugar in its pure form. 0 calories. 100% safe for diabetics. Over 200 vitamins and minerals in it. Why have you never heard of this? This should be all over the news. This is the greatest thing that ever happened. You've never heard of it because it comes from a plant. And if it comes from a plant, we can't make a patent on it. If we can't put a patent on it, we can't sell it for that much money. And stevia is available. Most grocery stores carry it now. Health food stores certainly carry it. Farmers markets a lot of times carry it. I have a 3-year-old daughter. She likes when Daddy makes her special lemonade. I take organic lemon juice, which alkalizes the system, helps neutralize the acids. Stevia, which has over 200 vitamins and minerals in it, and water. And we mix it together and we have lemonade every day. How cool is that? That the little kid is begging and wanting to make something that's good for her. Isn't that neat? So stevia is very, very safe. Agave nectar is good. If you're not a vegan, honey would be a good idea. Okay, make sure you get indigenous honey, honey from where you live. It'll help with allergies. Honey is the only food that doesn't go bad. Isn't that interesting? Only food in the world that won't go bad. It's antibiotic. If you ever have a cut or a wound, you can put honey on it. Okay, so honey might be a safe choice. Date sugar, ground up dates basically, is date sugar. That's a safe choice. So there's a lot of sweeteners out there that you can use. You don't have to turn to the sugar. So we talked about alcohol, we talked about sugar, we talked about artificial sweeteners. Well, we can cover sodas too. I mean, we kind of covered soda with the artificial sweetener, but especially cola sodas. Cola soda has a thing called phosphoric acid in it. Phosphoric acid is an acid. What does your body use to neutralize acid? Calcium. There you go, right. Sucking calcium out of your body like a magnet. Did you ever take a cola soda and pour it on car paint? Doesn't do real well for car paint. Now, car paint can survive like anything. And cola sodas can eat through it because it's such a strong acid. So please stay away from sodas. Now, if you want to get really crazy, you can take carbonated water and add some stevia and lemon juice to it and make lemon soda. Or orange concentrate, like concentrated frozen juices. You can add that to seltzer if you'd like to, or carbonated water, and make your own sodas that way. But I want you to stay away from the sodas because of the sugar, and the cola sodas especially because of the phosphoric acid. And what about coffee? Coffee's another one. Coffee gives you what? Energy. That's caffeine. Caffeine's good, right? Coffee is just like sugar. It doesn't really give you energy. It robs the body of energy. So when you put coffee in your body has to get rid of it. Do you ever notice you drink a cup of coffee? What happens? You start to sweat. Starts coming out of your system. Sometimes it comes out in uncomfortable ways. People say, I need my cup of coffee to have my morning constitution. I got to go to the bathroom. I drink my coffee. Coffee is such a strong acid, it irritates your colon. And when it irritates the colon, it causes everything to come out. If it's coming out too fast, you can't absorb your nutrients, can't pass out your waste products. Remember we started about a long time ago about that? So coffee is not the drink of choice. And you know some people started with 1 cup of coffee, right? And then went to 2, and then 4, and then 8, and then 10, right? You know people like, isn't that amazing? I said, do you just go to the bathroom all day? I mean, what do you do with all that coffee? And it dehydrates you. And when you get dehydrated, you get tired. So what do? You want to drink more coffee. Sneaky, huh? Number 1 import in the United States is oil. Number 2 is coffee. And if you drink decaffeinated coffee, there's no such thing. You cannot decaffeinate coffee. Because if you take the caffeine out of the coffee, it has no flavor. So what we do is we decaffeinate the coffee, then we add caffeine back in. And depending on where you're starting will determine how much caffeine is in the decaffeinated. For example, you go to one of these fancy places where you spend $5 a cup. Okay? A lot of caffeine in that coffee. That's why it tastes so good. We take a little bit of caffeine out, we call it what? Decaffeinated. So now you go home, you're going to make some coffee. You get that little tin of coffee, open it up, and you make some brewed coffee at home. Can't use brand names. But a regular cup of coffee that you have at home will have less caffeine in it than if you had a decaffeinated cup from a fancy coffee shop. Oh my gosh. Isn't that incredible? It's less than the original brand. That's all decaffeinated means. Sneaky, isn't it? And many times we decaffeinate coffee with turpentine and formaldehyde. That's not good either, is it? Okay. So we drink coffee because we're tired. So what can we do to replace that with? If you're stuck on coffee, you need to get a copy of my book, but I'll tell you this part. In the book, I have a chapter, and the chapter is called Kicking the Habit. And if you're stuck on coffee or diet sodas or whatever it is that you're addicted to, I want you to get a cup of whatever it is, just put it in front of you, and have 1 tablespoon every hour. That's it. Within 4 days, you'll be over your addiction. Because what happens is you need just a little bit of the drug to stimulate your brain. And you take a little bit of that drug, stimulate your brain, and then next hour, if you don't have any headaches or you're doing okay, skip to the next hour. And skip to another aha moment. Skip to the next hour. By 4th day, you'll be off your caffeinated drinks. Because if you just stop cold turkey, you know what's going to happen, right? Blinding headaches. That should be a sign. It's telling you something's wrong. I'm addicted to this so badly, if I don't have it, I get headaches. That's not a good thing. So coffee's not the drink of choice. Decaffeinated coffee certainly isn't. Okay, so we talked about alcohol. Talked about sugar. Talked about artificial sweetener. Talked about soda. What else is there? Tea? Okay. Okay, let's talk about tea. If you're going to do tea, try to do a tea that doesn't have caffeine in it. There are lots of teas out there, and some of them don't have caffeine in them. There's teas for everything. There's teas for sore throats. There's tea for infections. There's tea for mood swings. There's tea for digestive issues. There's tea to help you sleep, tea to wake you up. There's all sorts of neat teas. But a cup of tea, regular orange pekoe tea, still has substantially less caffeine than coffee. There's another tea out called mate. You ever heard of mate tea? Mate has more caffeine than regular tea, but also has a thing called matein, which is another stimulant. But that's still a better choice than coffee. Again, you're cutting back on the caffeine and cutting down. Now, some people don't use that source of caffeine. What's favorite source of caffeine aside from coffee? Chocolate. In unison, right? Chocolate. If you're going to eat chocolate, got some rules for you. Got rules for everything. Organic dark chocolate is much better for you than any other kind. Now, you know about the caffeine in chocolate, but you don't get the same feeling from, drinking a cup of tea that you get from eating chocolate. Because there's a chemical in chocolate called PEA. Anybody hear this? Phenylethylamines? Phenylethylamines, when you eat them, get in your brain, they act like a neurotransmitter, and they make you feel like you're in love. Oh, another aha moment. All the women smiled. This is why we give chocolate on Valentine's Day. Oh. Because as men, we figure we're in trouble anyway. Eat this, honey, please. But it's a chemical called phenylethylamines that makes you feel like you're in love. So if you're going to eat chocolate, you shouldn't. But if you do, organic dark chocolate, 1 piece, stop. Within 10 minutes or so, you're going to start feeling that euphoria that comes over you. Kind of cool. Right? With me so far? So teas are great. There's all sorts of great teas. You want to get them organic, of course. And teas are wonderful. I drink tea all day. Another great tea is ginger tea. You like ginger tea? Ginger tea is great. If you go to my website, which is drjoeesposito.com, it's on my business card. I'll give you all a card before you leave. I have several radio shows there, about 250 radio shows archived there. You can listen to anyone you want absolutely free. I have a bunch of articles there. And one of the recipes in my articles is ginger tea. And ginger tea is really easy to make. Take some ginger. You can either peel it or not. Put it in a food processor. Cover it about 1/3 with lemon juice and make a puree out of it. Now you make the puree, that's ginger tea. Well, there's a problem with that. It doesn't have any preservatives in it. It goes bad. So here's your trick. Take it, put it in an ice cube tray. Freeze it. When you want a cup of ginger tea, take out an ice cube, drop it in your hot water, stevia, agave nectar, honey if you're not a vegan, and now you made ginger tea. Now ginger tea is excellent because it's anti-inflammatory. Remember we talked about that? The inflammation that's in the body, it opens up your blood vessels, it increases circulation. It's an aphrodisiac. Careful. Okay? I don't want to get blamed for anything. But ginger tea is excellent. And now you're drinking tea that has a medicinal reaction. It's good for you. We have to eat anyway. We should just eat good foods. There's 120,000 out there, and it's cheaper than anything you're doing right now. Wow. So, all right, we covered alcohol, sugar, coffee, sodas, artificial sweeteners, dairy, and meat. These are the big ones. Okay? Cow's milk is made for what? Cows. What kind of cows? Well, baby cows, right? Any cows in the audience? We have a baby. No baby cows, right? Okay. Cow lovers. But we're not designed to drink cow's milk. We're not cows. How disgusting is that? Who was the first person to ever drink cow's milk? They probably saw a cow out in the field, had a little aspartame in their head, you know. Walked over to the cow, grabbed the udder, and said, I'm going to squeeze this, and whatever comes out, I'm putting it on my cereal. I think it was probably a college prank. Go squeeze that and drink it. No, really, man, it's cool. Go do it. Yeah. Why would you want to drink the milk of another mammal? Doesn't make any sense. And now some people, when I talk about the 7 deadly sins, they'll say, well, Dr. Joe, I'm cool on all that stuff, but I love my cheese. Right? A lot of heads nodding out there. I love my cheese. You know why you love cheese? Cheese has a chemical in it naturally occurring called morphine. Did you ever hear of morphine? Yeah, it's a drug. It's an addicting drug. And so if you drink milk, it's about 10 times the amount of morphine that's found in human milk. Human milk? Yes, all mammals produce morphine because it calms down the babies. Small amounts, though, safe amounts. When you get 10 times the amount of morphine, you're getting high. You like your milk. Then we take it and take the water out. And then we make cheese. And so you're getting concentrated morphine. And that stimulates parts of your brain that get you high. And so that's why you're saying, I love my cheese. You don't love your cheese. You love getting high from your cheese. And then there's yellow cheese. Did you ever see a yellow cow? Imagine if you milked a cow and it came out yellow. Something's wrong with this. I don't want to eat it. Yet we make cheese out of it. And then there's that processed cheese food spread. You ever see that? There wasn't a cow in a room when that stuff was made. I don't know what's in that. Can't be good for you, though. So that's bad stuff. Also, cheese is high in saturated fats. Saturated fats, when you get in your blood, clumps your red blood cells together. You clump your red blood cells together, you can't carry oxygen. You can't carry oxygen, you get tired. Here's your experiment. Tomorrow for lunch, have yourself a nice big salad. Okay? No cheese. Next day, have yourself some pizza. Lots of cheese. See how you feel an hour after lunch tomorrow, and see how you feel an hour after lunch the next day. What's going to happen after the pizza? Right. Knock you out. I love going into companies. I come in, I do wellness programs for companies, and we do motivational seminars, and we do seminars on increasing productivity. And when I give them this fact, everybody looks at each other. It's like, yeah, that's why I'm tired all the time. Any school teachers? Okay? If you've ever been to school, okay? When are grades better, in the morning or the afternoon? In the morning. Why? They had lunch. After lunch, everybody passes out. And yet we do it every day. And then we drink coffee to try to stimulate us again. Don't you see how silly that is? I'm doing something that's making me tired, so then I better do something that'll stimulate me. Well, then I get stimulated, then I get dehydrated, then I get tired, so then I eat something that's going to make me more tired, then I eat something that's going to stimulate me. And then you go home at night at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and you're exhausted. Wouldn't it be nice to have your life back? That at the end of work, the day isn't over yet? You're able to enjoy yourselves, go have fun, go on dates, spend time with your family? Wouldn't that be wonderful? It can happen, because most of the things that happen to you, most diseases, you caused. That's taking responsibility. So it's not hard, it's just different. You have to eat anyway, you might as well eat good foods. Okay? And now what happens is a lot of cows are being injected with something called recombinant bovine growth hormone. Anybody ever hear of that? Howard, you ever hear of that? Howard's laughing over there. I'll let you cover that one, okay? Recombinant bovine growth hormone causes the cow to produce more milk than it's supposed to. 3 times the amount of milk sometimes than it's supposed to. And what happens to the udders if they were to fill up 3 times the amount as they're supposed to? Does it hurt? Yes, mastitis. The udders rip and tear, and they become infected. When we become infected, we have to give the cows what? Antibiotics, of course. What's in the news right now? People are dying from superbugs. We have no drugs to deal with these superbugs. And what's the recommendation they're giving now to the doctors? Don't use antibiotics unless it's absolutely necessary. Yay, finally, they're getting the message. But they don't talk about the antibiotics we're getting from meats and our dairy products. So those antibiotics get into the cow's milk. You drink it. But also when those infections are in the udder, those infections drip down into the milk. So in the milk you're getting pus and blood cells. But good news, we have a limit on how much pus we can have in our milk. You can only have 750,000 pus cells in 8 drops of milk. Is that true, Howard? That's what makes it so creamy. Here, honey, drink your pus. Isn't that disgusting? You'll never drink milk again. Yay, we win. And then there's meat. Now, I want to take too much away from Howard here on meat, but we are not carnivores. Carnivores are what? Meat eaters. They have fangs meant to rip and tear flesh off the carcass. They swallow their meat whole. So they attack their meat. They rip the flesh off the carcass. They swallow it whole, and it takes so much energy that they sleep about 20 hours a day. Sounds like your ex-boyfriend a little bit, doesn't it? No. Carnivores sleep 20 hours a day because it takes so much energy to break down meat. Their stomach has about 1,100% more hydrochloric acid than ours does. They can break down meat. We can't. We don't have the enzymes to break down the meat properly. So the meat sits in your colon and it rots. It takes about 72 hours from time in to time out for a piece of meat. In 72 hours at 98.6 degrees, what happens to a piece of meat? It rots. It stinks. That's what happens in your colon. It rots and it stinks and it gives off gases. And those gases are carcinogenic. So the meat's laying in your colon, it's rotting. Not a good thing. Let's try an experiment. Take a piece of meat. Okay? You've probably done this. You left it in your cooler one time. You put it in your cooler, you left the meat outside, 98.6 degrees, left it there for 3 days. Oh, how about this? Unplug your freezer when you go home. Don't really do this. Okay? It's only a hypothetical story. Unplug your freezer. And in your freezer you have meat. Let's assume. I'm assuming you people are a little more enlightened than that. And you open your freezer and there's meat. Now you close the freezer, unplug it, leave it there for 3 days, which is how long it takes to sit in your stomach. Come back and open your freezer. What happened? Rots and it stinks. But in many cases you're going to have visitors. You're going to have visitors in your freezer. Now if your freezer's sealed and nothing gets in or out, and you open the freezer and you have maggots and worms in your freezer, where the maggots and the worms come from? They're in the meat. And you eat the meat. Why you do that? Or how about this? You got a nice juicy steak, right? See in the commercials, they slice the steak and the juice runs out. And some of that, the red juice, right? You know, some of it's blood, okay, right? Well, some of it's blood, some of it's water, but about 10% is uric acid. What's uric acid? It's urine. It's pee. That's cow pee, chicken pee, and piggy pee. And you make gravy out of it. Why you do that? So meat is not the food of choice. And plus, as we get older, we talked about our digestive enzymes dropping. And so if our digestive enzymes drop, we can't break down the meat. Or anything else, for that matter. And so now what we're doing is we're speeding up the aging process. We're creating diseases, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, high cholesterol. Somebody before the seminar came up to me and said, Dr. Joe, how can you lower cholesterol? Well, let me give you a little insight in cholesterol. The cholesterol floating around in the blood is not that dangerous. It's floating around. It's the cholesterol that's stuck to the artery walls that's dangerous. Make sense? Okay? So the cholesterol stuck to the artery walls, the dangerous stuff. So you go get your cholesterol checked. You say, oh my gosh, I got high cholesterol. That's not that big a deal. Because statistically speaking, about 50% of the people that die of heart attacks have normal cholesterol. So statistically speaking, it's a coin toss. If you have high or low cholesterol, you're going to have a heart attack. It's not the cholesterol floating around in the blood. It's the cholesterol stuck to the artery walls. So next time you get your blood test, I want you to get something called homocysteine tested. Okay, I see a lot of pens coming out now. Homocysteine is something that essentially oxidizes low-density lipoproteins. It causes the cholesterol to stick to the artery walls. That is a much stronger indicator of your risk of heart disease than something as simple as just checking cholesterol. Wow. And what's interesting, we talked about coffee. Coffee raises your homocysteine levels. Ah, there's a little insight for you. Now, it's not the caffeine, because we've done studies on patients just giving them caffeine from other sources, chocolate, sodas, doesn't raise their homocysteine. Something in coffee raises your homocysteine. We don't know what it is. Wow. So we got to start thinking about this logically. The one thing I want you to walk away from today is I want you to say 3 words. I want you to say, that made sense. Okay? Because the nervous system controls everything. You have to have the nervous system working properly. And how do you know if your nervous system's working properly? Stand in the mirror. Close your eyes, bring your head up and down 5 times. I want to kind of throw you off balance a little bit. Stop, open your eyes, and look at yourself. Is one ear higher than the other? Is one shoulder higher than the other? Is one hip higher than the other? You're even facing forward. I'll do that with patients, and I'll be like this. Whoa! That's an indication that there's a physical problem. And so often patients come to me and say, Doc, what can I take to lower my cholesterol? What can I take to help my digestive problems? What can I take to get rid of this neck and shoulder pain? The thing that seems to be missing, and it drives me nuts that the healthcare community hasn't caught on to this, and I hope they don't, it'll put me out of a job, is that there's a physical component to health. If the tires on your car are out of alignment, they what? They wear out. They wobble and wear out. If your bones are out of alignment, you know what? They wobble and wear out. Look at your shoes. Are your shoes wearing out evenly? If they're not, something's wrong. When you go get your pens hemmed, does one hem have to be up here, one down here? Something's wrong. I'm amazed. Patients come to me and say, Doc, you know, I tell them one leg's shorter than the other because one hip is higher than the other, and that's causing your leg to go up. Well, you know, Doc, that's funny. Every time I get pants hemmed, they have to be hemmed different heights. Didn't you think something was wrong? No. Your shoes wear out on the left, but not on the right. Never thought about it. So we have to have normal function. Structure affects function. If there's any engineers out there, structure affects function. Okay? So what can we eat? Let's cover that. Let's talk about a day in the life. How about that? Wouldn't that be cool? All right, here comes the pens. Everybody's whipping out their pens again. So what can we eat? We're going to try to stay away from alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So we're not going to eat anything, okay? That's it. I haven't eaten in 27 years. I am so hungry. So no. There's 120,000 foods that we can eat. So let's start out a perfect day. How about that? And I want you to try this. Let's try this for a couple of days and see what happens. Let's do this for 2 weeks. And if I'm right, I want you to continue with this for the rest of your life. And if I'm wrong, so what? It didn't cost you anything. So we're going to be dehydrated, so we have to have water to our diet. So we're going to wake up in the morning, we're going to have our water, we're going to have our apple cider vinegar. Drink that down. Then I want to get something that's going to stimulate your digestion, that's easy to digest, because you've been fasting all night. And when you fast, your body cleanses and detoxifies. And then you have a meal called a break fast. You break your fast. That's why we call it breakfast. We break out fast. We want to break out fast gently. We want to kind of say, okay, stomach, time to wake up. So I want you to have some fruit. Any kind of fruit you want. Apples, peaches, pears, bananas, pineapples, mangoes, kiwi, starfruit, watermelon, whatever you want. But just fruit. And then start your day. Take a shower, brush your teeth, whatever you do. Fruit will get out of your stomach into your small intestine in about a half hour, 45 minutes. So in a half hour, we're going to kickstart your brain and your digestive system, and we're going to add something to your diet that's going to help flush out your colon, flush out cholesterol, flush out excess hormones, because we all produce hormones. We got to get them out of our system. If we don't, we reabsorb them, and we get a hormone imbalance. And we're all exposed to heavy metals every day. Mercury, lead, arsenic, we got to get those out of the system as well. So here's your $30,000 tip. I want you to have flax seeds every day. Okay, the average person about my size, you want to do this, a tablespoon for every 50 pounds that you weigh. How about that? Pretty simple. You got to grind the flax seeds. If you eat them whole, they pass right through you. So grind the flax seeds, get a coffee grinder. You're not drinking coffee anymore. Get your coffee grinder, grind up 3 tablespoons of flaxseed. Now, how do you get them into your system? They taste like dust. You can put rice milk, soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, sesame milk. You can put some milk on it if you'd like, and eat it like a cereal. I usually put some milk on it, not cow's milk, of course, and then I add some raisins and coconut. Raisins are high in iron. Raisins are high in fiber. Coconut is high in lauric acid. Lauric acid is excellent for stimulating the immune system. It's also a medium-chain saturated fat, which is very good for your body. Now, when it comes to fats, we don't need less fat. We need more fat. Good fat. Most of us are deprived of fat. And what's the big one now? What's the one that everybody's talking about? The omega-3. There you go. Well, trans fat too. All right, trans fatty acids are the bad ones. The omega-3s are the good ones. So the omega-3 fatty acids, where do we get them from? Flax seeds, right. Where else? What's the most common one that people do? Fish oils, right, exactly. Walnuts are high in it. Macadamia nuts are high in it. Hemp seeds are high in it. But a lot of people are doing fish oils. Now, I don't do fish oils. Okay? I haven't had any animal products in several decades now. But if you do fish oils, I want to make sure that the fish oils are certified by European standards, not by American standards. American standards are way too lax. European standards. You have to make sure they're certified heavy metal free, especially mercury. And they have to be cold processed. Because once you heat omega-3 fatty acids, the oils are destroyed. So let's assume I buy a piece of salmon. Chances are it's farm raised. If it's farm raised, it doesn't have omega-3s in it. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Because where does omega-3 come from? They come from like a plankton. That's what makes it. Krill, it's called. Okay? And so small fish eat krill, and bigger fish eat them, and bigger fish eat them, and bigger fish eat them, and then salmon eat them, or mackerel or tuna. Okay, so that's where they're getting the omega-3s from. So why go so high on the food chain? Go down to the bottom. Just do krill oil. Cut out the middleman. But then you buy a piece of salmon, and let's assume it's wild salmon, and let's assume that it has lots of omega-3 fatty acids in it. You got a good piece. It's expensive. Then you go home and you put it on the barbecue. Instantly, you destroyed all the omega-3 fatty acids. All that money you just spent, wasted. And farm-raised salmon, by the way, is not pink. It's gray. So they got to inject the dye into it to make it pink. More dye. We need more dye in our diets, don't we? So salmon, if you're going to eat salmon, it's not a good source of omega-3 fatty acids if you're going to cook it, because if you cook it, you destroy the omega-3 fatty acids. If you eat it raw, you run the risk of getting parasites. Flax seeds, parasites. And flax seeds are a whole lot cheaper. The neat part about flax seeds is they have soluble and non-soluble fiber in them. Soluble fiber is kind of slimy, like oatmeal, for example, is high in soluble fiber. And when that soluble fiber gets into your body, it wraps around excess cholesterol and carries it out of the system. It wraps around excess, another aha moment, wraps around cholesterol, it wraps around heavy metals, it wraps around hormones, carries it out of the system. How cool is that? So now you're cleansing your body with the soluble fiber. The non-soluble fiber is bulk, it just cleans everything out. And you're getting omega-3 fatty acids. What a great way to start your day, because every cell in your body has a layer around it called a lipoprotein layer. Lipo meaning fat, protein meaning protein. And a lipoprotein layer has to be flexible so it can absorb nutrients, pass out waste products. Your cells do the same thing that your body does. So you have to be able to absorb your nutrients and pass out your waste products. You need good oils and good proteins in the walls of the cells. If you're getting the omega-3 fatty acids, you're getting other fatty acids like 6s and 9s and other fats from fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds. Now you've created a healthy cell. And the neurotransmitters in your brain are able to talk to each other better. Messages are able to be transmitted better because the cells are flexible. So it makes your brain work better. We could all use that. So the flaxseed is great, solves that problem for you. And it's cheap. And, get the questions in a second. And what happens is you feel full. So now those cravings that we have for the chocolate, the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, the foods that stimulate your opiate receptor sites and get you high, those cravings go away. Wow. So now you feel better, your brain is working better, you're healthier, your colon cleans out, you pass out your waste product, absorbs your nutrients, you calm down your colon, and you feel full. So eating less food, less calories means longer life. Study after study has shown the less calories you eat, the longer you're going to live, to a point, of course. So that's pretty cool. So that's a breakfast. It's quick, it's easy, it's cheap. Okay, let's talk about lunch. Lunch is anything that isn't alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener. That's 120,000 foods. You're not going to starve. Trust me. So what could be a typical lunch? Well, you want to have something raw at every meal. Something uncooked, fruit, vegetable, nuts, or seeds, because raw foods have enzymes in them. And enzymes will help break down foods and also cause things to reassemble. For example, I might eat a carrot, and that carrot becomes eye tissue. Carrots don't look like eye tissue. How'd that happen? It was broken down and reassembled. And the enzymes help you do that. Where do you get enzymes from? Raw fruits, raw vegetables, raw nuts, and raw seeds. So you have to have something raw at every meal to help digest your food. The apple cider vinegar is going to help as well. So now we're getting our digestive system back to where it was when you were a kid. And you start getting energy like a kid. You start going to the bathroom like a kid. Anybody have a child? Change a lot of diapers, don't you? 8,000 diapers in the average baby's life. It's a lot of diapers. Why? Because the digestive system is working normally. Food in, food out. That's 8,000 diapers right there. So now the body is getting better. It's working more toward normal. So at every meal, the rule is something raw. Okay? So for lunch, like Mexican food? I like Mexican food. Okay? How about a bean burrito instead of a beef burrito? How about a potato enchilada instead of a beef enchilada? No cheese. How about guacamole? Guacamole is loaded with good fats. Loaded with vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. You're going to do salsa, eat as few chips as possible because chips have hydrogenated oil in it. Hydrogenated oil, 20 years ago, I was talking about how dangerous margarine is. Now, New York City has banned it. They've banned all trans fats. Wow. I'm surprised New York beat you guys. So all the things we're talking about now, I hope in 20 years are just going to be commonplace. Well, why would you want to use artificial sweetener that affects the brain? It's an excitotoxin and can cause abnormal brain function. Can cause emotional disorders and distress. Why would someone put that in a soda? That doesn't make any sense. When we could have used something like stevia. We can't use stevia yet, by the way. It's not a sweetener. It's a food additive. Can't be sold as a sweetener. Wonder if there's any politics involved in that. But I can say use it because I do. So, something raw at every meal. We talked about Mexican. Make sure you get some guacamole at every meal. Like Chinese food? I do. Be careful. Chinese food has MSG, monosodium glutamate. In my book, I have a whole chapter. There's over 40 different names for monosodium glutamate. Monosodium glutamate being one of them. Sodium caseinate. Natural flavor. Doesn't that stink? Autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed vegetable protein. Not all natural flavors are MSG, but all MSG can be labeled as natural flavors. Wow, and in my book I have a whole chart of them, and you need to read that. It's very important. So if you go to a Chinese restaurant, you'll say no MSG, and they'll say, oh, we don't use MSG. We don't use added MSG. See the signs? Why? Because soy sauce has MSG in it. It has free glutamic acid. Free glutamic acid, when it gets in the brain, is an excitotoxin. Gelatin. Gelatin has free glutamic acid. Wow. So you might be taking supplements and saying, I take these supplements, I'm getting these worse headaches, or I don't feel good, it's emotional stuff. It's not working because of the gelatin capsule, not the supplement. Now, if it's a vegetable capsule, it's okay, but gelatin capsule can cause that. And some people are more sensitive than others, of course. So notice how you feel after eating some Chinese food. You may get really tired. real emotional. Why? It's the MSG. Now, there is something you can use called Tamari. Everybody hear Tamari? What's Tamari? You know what it is? Tamari Sunday. No. No. It's the best joke I have, sorry. No. Tamari is like a soy sauce, but it's made from miso. Miso is fermented soybeans. Fermented soybeans are good for you. Regular soybeans are hard to digest because they have a chemical in it called protease inhibitor. Protease is an enzyme that breaks down the protein. Soybeans have this chemical in it that prevents you from digesting them. That's why sometimes you eat soybeans, you get gas, bloating, diarrhea, and constipation. There's an aha moment for you. So what's happening is soybeans can be difficult to digest for some people, but once it's fermented, like tempeh or miso, then it's easier to digest. The protease inhibitor is broken down. Pretty cool, huh? And that's where tamari comes from. It's the water that's used to make the miso. So that's okay. Now, a lot of folks, somebody came up to me before and said they have a gluten intolerance. Very, very common. Let's assume you're doing everything I said. You're staying away from alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, eating fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds. You're doing your apple cider vinegar. You're drinking your water. You're feeling good. You learned about the trigger points for your adrenal glands. You learned how to pull your stomach back down to get the stomach back to its normal position. And you're getting exercise. The life is great, but you're still not getting where you need to be. Chances are you have a gluten sensitivity. Gluten is found in wheat, barley, rye, spelt. It's a protein that's very hard to digest. And some people are so sensitive to gluten that if they eat it, they have an immediate reaction. They swell up like a balloon, they get headaches, they get dizzy, they get vomiting, projectile vomiting sometimes, they pass out. That's Crohn's disease. This can be very serious. It might be Crohn's disease, colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, all the same thing basically. Slight differences, but essentially it's the same thing. The only way to deal with it is cut out the gluten. So you've got to cut out the gluten, and you've got to cut out the wheat. So here's another challenge for you. I want you to go 1 week with no wheat. Write that down, no wheat, okay? That goes for barley, rye, and spelt as well. 7 days. Now everybody do this. Even if you have no problems at all, I want you to do this. On the 7th day, or on the 8th day, I want you to have wheat. I want you to have pastas and breads and lots of wheat. And notice how you feel. Chances are you're going to feel awful. And then you know you have a gluten sensitivity. If you have gluten intolerance, you know about it already. Okay, if you have gluten intolerance, boy, you eat wheat, and boom, the colon blows up, you get gassy diarrhea, you can't handle it, you double over in pain. That's gluten intolerance. Gluten sensitivity is you get a little runny nose, ear infections. Definitely get kids off wheat. Ear infections. You'll be amazed how much better you feel when you cut out the wheat. Okay, but that's, up to this point, has been brown belt nutrition. Now we're getting into black belt nutrition. Okay, and the black belt is cutting out the weeds and getting more raw foods in the diet. So when I talk about Italian foods, you might go out for pasta. Notice how you feel after going out for pasta. You may feel really heavy because you have a gluten sensitivity. Sinuses might run. Good news is there's gluten-free pasta. Corn pasta, quinoa pasta. There's all sorts of grains now that are becoming more popular that don't have any gluten in them. So you can do it. There's gluten-free breads. They're not very good, but there's gluten-free breads. Okay? If you're going to do oatmeal and you have a gluten intolerance, you got to be careful because a lot of oatmeal is cross-contaminated with wheat. So there's a couple of brand names out there that are gluten-free. You want to make sure of that. Okay? Now, if you get a copy of my book, which everybody should, by the way, the first half of the book talks about how to change your diet. The second half of the book has 202 of my favorite recipes because everybody says, well, I don't know what to eat, because that's what you're all thinking. Well, so what can I eat? The book covers that. It answers the questions. It has 202 of my favorite recipes. We have a CD set over there. The first CD is called The 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition. The second one is called So What Can I Eat? And then you could listen to it and tell your friends to listen to it. Because everyone here in this audience is thinking, I wish blank was here. Because they need to hear this. Right? You wish who? I wish such and such was here because they need to hear this information. So we've got it on CD for you. Okay? Now, a lot of people don't eat enough raw fruits and vegetables. So what I did is I've taken 18 different types of fruit, 18 different types of vegetables, juiced them, took the water out at a very low temperature, and put them in a pill. Now, there's no excuse for not eating your fruits and vegetables anymore. I've taken 18 different types of fruit, 18 different types of vegetables, and put them in a pill for you. Is that easy? Okay? And has all the digestive enzymes in it that you need, and we have that over there as well. Okay? Now, questions? Okay.
What do you think about natural flavors or artificial flavors that are called natural, that is as aspartame and artificial sweeteners?
Well, artificial sweetener is aspartame. Aspartame is one of the artificial sweeteners. Natural flavors can be monosodium glutamate. It may not be, and that's where it's tricky. So if you have a question, you need to call the company and find out what it is. Okay? Yes?
How does that acid thing that you took, was vinegar, keep you from getting love handles?
Because it stimulates your metabolism. It helps you break down your food better. As you break down your food better, you start to metabolize fat better. Okay?
Isn't it better maybe to get the vinegar with them?
With the mother. It's got to be organic apple cider vinegar, absolutely. It's got to have the mother in the bottom. It's got to be cloudy with the mother in the bottom. And then it has digestive enzymes in it as well. Yes?
When you talked about decaf, you talked about taking 1 teaspoon every hour. 1 teaspoon of what?
Coffee. If you're coming off your caffeine. If you're hooked on caffeine, 1 tablespoon of coffee, soda, whatever it is that you're addicted to.
Also, flaxseed, you said, can you recommend one from Europe or one that we can get that's good?
Any organic flaxseed will be fine. Organic flaxseed will be fine. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm working this way.
Would you repeat the question? Would you repeat the question?
Oh, thank you. I'll repeat the question. Okay. His question was, with caffeine, I said 1 tablespoon of what? Anything you're addicted to, whether it's coffee, soda, whatever it is. And then he asked about flax seeds. Any flax seed that's organic is going to be fine. There's darker ones and there's lighter ones. I like the darker ones. They seem to have a little more nutrients, but that's fine if you do the lighter ones.
Are there any dietary counters to homocysteine, and why doesn't stevia stimulate the insulin overreaction cycle?
Excellent question. Are there any nutritional ways to counteract homocysteine? The answer is yes, B vitamins. Okay, and B vitamins, specifically B6, is going to help that, but you have to make sure your digestive system is working properly so that can work. But the B vitamins will work very well. Great source of B vitamins is a thing called nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is not like yeast infections and everything. And nutritional yeast has all B vitamins in it that you need, has all 8 essential amino acids, has essential fatty acids in it. It looks like powdered mashed potatoes. I put it on mashed potatoes. I put it on salad. I put it in soups. It's great. Brewer's yeast, same thing, yeah.
And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
why doesn't stevia stimulate that insulin?
Why doesn't stevia stimulate the insulin reaction? It doesn't. I don't know. Okay, but we know we can test blood reaction to stevia and other sweeteners, and there's no reaction to stevia.
I was told by a salesperson in a health food store that there were certain vitamin supplements that you could buy where the source of the vitamins was food, was
Yes.
natural, and that most of the vitamin supplements that we normally buy are made from synthetics from China.
Correct. Yes, that is correct. Most, like if you see a B vitamin, or not all, but iron, a lot of times iron comes from rocks. We need what's called an organic form of nutrients. Organic means it comes from a living source. Inorganic means it comes from a dead source, like rocks or dirt. So whole food supplements is what we're talking about. Whole food supplements comes from the whole food. The supplements I was talking about, essential source, is the one I invented. It comes from the whole food. Absolutely positively, if you're going to do supplements, it's got to be from a whole food source, or else you're wasting your money, in my opinion. Okay?
That's the test. You ask them for a supplement from a whole food.
Whole food supplement. That's the test. You always ask for a whole food supplement. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my son wakes up every morning with a lot of mucus, and when he blows his nose, it comes all out. But
Sure.
What do you think that's from?
Son wakes up in the morning with mucus. How many other people aside from me has that happen every morning? Okay? It's a digestive issue. He's not breaking down his proteins properly. So what we need to do then is get him off all wheat and all dairy products. Absolutely positively. Those are the 2 main allergens. Okay? Then we get the digestive system working. How old is your son?
He's 7.
7 years old. He's waking up. When I was 7, I was him. And they gave me antibiotics and antihistamines almost every day of my life, which weakened my immune system, which made my nose run, which they gave me antibiotics and antihistamines for. Famous guy once said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Okay? I am not upset with the doctors that did this to me. I'm not upset with my parents for doing it with me. They didn't know. But now you guys know. How cool is that? So, no wheat, no dairy products. 7 days. On the 7th day, give them some wheat, give them some dairy products, watch what happens. When the sinuses fill up again, you go, Joe was right. And I am right, because this works every time. Okay? That answers the question? I'll come around. Sir?
Yeah, what type of organic proteins would you recommend?
Excellent question. What about organic proteins? A big question that comes up. Where do you get your protein from? Okay? Howard, you know anything about this, do you? No, so where do you get your proteins from? Your body only needs 10% of its total caloric intake as protein. Okay? Carrots are like 12%. Okay? If we look at an animal that has a lot of protein, let's say a cow. Okay, they have skin, they have meat, they have horns, they give milk every day. What do they eat? Grass. Where are they getting it from? They're getting it from fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds. Okay? I haven't had any animal products in decades. I don't look like I'm lacking any protein. Your body will utilize the proteins, but you have to have the enzymes to break down the proteins and then reassemble them. That's why you have to have the raw foods. You may come across someone who's a vegetarian who looks sickly. You ever see those people? Make us look bad, right? Okay. What happens is they're not eating enough raw foods. And, you know, brownies doesn't count as vegetarian in my eye, okay? It's just because it doesn't have meat or dairy products in it doesn't mean it's good for you. So that's why you have to have the enzymes to break down the proteins. But if you're eating enough fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds, and even according to the American Dietetic Association, if you're eating enough fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds to maintain your weight and energy level, you're getting enough protein. Yes, go ahead, Tom.
So then dark greens is a really good source of that also, because again, it's breaking it down.
Yes, dark greens are a good source of that, and especially if they're raw, they have the enzymes in it, which is going to help. So, great. I'll work my way back around again. Yeah.
What about soybeans or soy milk or any of the soy?
Soybeans and soy milk, some people have allergies to them. The problem with soybeans now is that most, if not all, soybeans have been genetically modified. And we genetically modify them, we don't know what's going to happen. It's called frankenfood. Okay? We've spliced things like flounders and moths with tomatoes because it gives them a longer shelf life. And it's been said now that most soybeans, if not all, have been cross-contaminated and cross-pollinated, so we're not even sure if there is such a thing as an organic soybean anymore. If you're going to do soy, make sure it's organic, but see how you feel. Eat some soybeans, see if you feel bloated, see if you feel gassy, see if your sinuses swell up. If they do, don't eat soybeans. Okay?
Aren't all grains in the U.S. genetically modified now?
Probably. Okay? Technically, organic grains aren't, but again, cross-contamination may have ruined that. There may not be anything such as organic wheat anymore either, and we don't know that for a fact yet. But that's why with grains, you notice I kind of pull away from the grains. Don't do a lot of grains. If you're going to do grains, a whole grain. Brown rice, not white rice. Quinoa, that's a good grain, high in protein. That's a great source of protein, okay? But as far as wheat goes, I try to stay away from all wheat as best I can.
But
Okay.
Nature's Path, which comes out of Canada, they have several products with a lot of different grains that are not genetically modified.
Okay, yeah, some countries say, yeah, they have that. But again, I hope that they haven't been cross-contaminated yet. That's why if you're eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, you're going to get all the food and nutrients that you need. If you want to add some grains to it, make sure, please, at least it's organic, okay? I'll come back around. Sir?
What's your opinion on encapsulated flaxseed oil or just taking the flaxseed oil?
Excellent. As long as it's cold-pressed flaxseed, it's excellent. The reason I like the flax seeds is A, it's cheaper. Try to keep it on cheap for you. And B, you're going to get the fiber with it. However, the flaxseed is excellent. I would recommend you use flaxseed oil. If you're not going to use the flaxseed, please use the flaxseed oil. Yes?
Yes, I've heard the use of corn sweeteners as replacements for sweeteners and other nutrients.
Yes.
Is that a good or a bad?
Oh, it's really bad, yeah. High fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is just awful. It's such a concentrated sugar. As soon as you put it in your body, bang, the insulin levels shoot through the ceiling. It sucks all the sugar out. Any sugar that doesn't get into a cell gets converted to glycogen. Glycogen is a storage for sugar in your body. You store it in the liver under the muscles. And what happens is once the glycogen stores are all filled up, you still have sugar. Sugar's an acid. It's got to be taken out of the blood. It goes to the liver. Liver converts it to triglycerides. Triglycerides is fat in the blood. And then it gets stored as fat. And so that's what makes you so tired. That's why carbohydrates make you fat. If you're eating a high-fiber diet, let's assume I'm eating white rice, which is like eating sugar, versus brown rice. Brown rice has fiber in it. Fiber slowly pushes the sugar through the colon, and a little bit gets absorbed at a time. American Dietetic Association about 10 years ago said that if you can eat between 68 and 72 grams of fiber, you can reduce or eliminate the need for all medications. Let me say that again. American Dietetic Association said that if you eat between 68 and 72 grams of fiber, you can reduce or eliminate the need for most, if not all, medications. Why wasn't that on the news? American Dietetic Association, not me. Okay? Yeah.
Do you advocate a green powder with your fruit in the morning in a drink form that comes from plants?
Yes, I love green drinks.
Okay, mixed with fruit. It's okay in your morning?
Sure, absolutely. You can mix it with fruit. Make a smoothie, throw your flax seed in there. That's what I feed my daughter every day. I take my supplements. They're called Essential Source. I take the concentrated vegetables, 2 supplements. I grind it into a powder in my coffee grinder. Put it in her smoothie. Then I take some ground flax seeds. I put it in her smoothie. Then I take a green powder. Chlorella, spirulina, green stuff, put it in there as well, and then we make a smoothie. My daughter, 3 years old, leaves the house with 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables before she even walks out the door. How do you get a kid to eat raw fruits and vegetables? Put it in a smoothie. Okay, it works great. Yeah, I'm a big fan of green drinks. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, you first.
Can one get too much omega-3 in flaxseed, and
Can you-
also too much apple cider vinegar.
Can you get too much flaxseed and too much apple cider vinegar or too much omega-3? Absolutely yes. Okay, if you take too much flaxseed, you're going to be going to the bathroom like a racehorse. Okay, so you'll know it's too much. That's why you want to do about a tablespoon for every 50 pounds that you weigh. Every day, absolutely, yeah. You what? Vinegar's the same way. Is vinegar the same way? Can you get too much? About 2 tablespoons before every meal is fine. You can get too much, yeah. Sir?
What is your opinion of Dr. Bragg's Aminos? It's similar to soy.
Dr. Bragg's
soy
Aminos
sauce.
are excellent. Okay, Bragg's Aminos are very good. The Bragg's Aminos they have amino acids in them, and they're not, they don't have glutamic acid in them as one of them, as free glutamic acid. That's what I'm saying. Okay, too much glutamic acid is where the problem comes in. So the Bragg's Aminos are fine, and so is the Tamari. Ma'am? Yes?
Can we drink fake coffee with soya silk?
Sure, you can drink fake coffee with, can you drink fake coffee with silk? Yeah, there's several coffee drinks out there that are not coffee. Ticino is a brand name. You can use some silk creamer if you'd like, which is soy milk again. It has sugar in it, but if you want to substitute it, that's a nice little substitute and a nice treat. Okay? Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about soy and all the talk about cancer and the xenoestrogens?
The xenoestrogens. They're not xenoestrogens, they're phytoestrogens in soy. Phytoestrogens are weak estrogens. Weak estrogens are not going to cause damage. And in fact, if you're exposing yourself to a lot of other estrogens, they're going to block your estrogen receptor site so the bad estrogen can't get in. Xenoestrogens are 300 to 600 times stronger than human estrogen. They are found in things like plastic, especially microwave plastic. If you microwave plastic, you're releasing xenoestrogens. Centers for Disease Control released a study a couple of years ago that the average age for puberty in the United States for white women is now age 5. No, 7, I'm sorry. Black women is 5. White women is 7. Black women are 5. Now, it's not necessarily starting a menstrual cycle, but developing secondary sex characteristics, breast, pubic hair, hips. Look at a 7-year-old. If you're around school or something like that, look at little 7-year-old girls. They're looking like little women. When we were 7 years old, girls were like this. Because of the estrogens, my opinion, the estrogens that are found in meats and dairy products and microwaves. No. Not soy. I don't think the soy is causing a lot of the problems. Not for that. It's problems digesting, but not for that. Yeah. Okay, sir?
What's the base for the smoothie that you give to your daughter every day?
Frozen bananas. Take bananas, peel them, and freeze them. Do not try to peel a frozen banana. I have tried this. It does not work. Frozen bananas, cut them up and freeze them. Take it, throw it in there, a little bit of rice milk, almond milk, cashew milk, sesame milk, oat milk. In my book, I even have recipes on how to make that if you want to get really crazy. Cover it about 1/3 to 1/2 way up. Add the ground supplements if you got a child. Take my essential source, concentrated fruits and veggies, grind them to powder, add some green powder to it. Then you add some other frozen fruit like berries, which are great, organic frozen berries. Kids love it. She'll have it breakfast, lunch, and dinner if I'd let her. It's awesome. Yes?
Is the caffeine in green tea all right?
There's a little bit of caffeine in green tea. It will give you a little bit of a boost. So if you can do that and not get a headache, that's fine. But if you want to stay away from all caffeine, caffeine is in green tea, yeah. Just a little bit, though. Sir?
Are you aware, because I agree with everything you say, but it concerns me, flaxseed, if you took too much of it or too much flaxseed oil, would cause an imbalance in your omega fatty acids, which need to be 3, 6, and 9.
Yes,
Hemp
absolutely.
is a balanced thing, but
Yes,
flaxseed.
the question is, can you take too much omega-3 fatty acids? Because you have to have a balance. You want to have a balance of about 1-to-1 omega-3 to omega-6s. Most of us like 20-to-1 omega-6s to omega-3s. So you can take too much, absolutely. That's why I say about a tablespoon for every 50 pounds that you weigh. You can throw off that balance. The chance of anybody doing that is pretty rare, though. Okay, because most of us get way more 6s than we'll ever need, omega-6s. But that's why you want to limit that. Too much of anything is not a good thing.
Is there a water purifier that you have found is preferable?
I'm a big fan of distilled water. Distilled number 1. Second is reverse osmosis. You can go to any of the home centers and get a reverse osmosis filter, a couple $100, at least put it under your kitchen sink, because that's when you're going to use most of your water. I would prefer you have a whole house reverse osmosis. It's expensive. In my house, I have a whole house reverse osmosis, because when I shower and my pores open up from hot water, I don't want chlorine and chemicals getting into my open pores, so I've got a whole house water filter. Yeah. Yes?
What about the Brita water?
What about like a Brita water filter? It's better than nothing. Okay, it's gradated. Better than nothing, yeah. Yes?
I heard that reverse osmosis pulls the minerals out of your body.
That's okay. Okay, people talk about that with distilled water too. It's going to take some minerals out, but it's going to take a lot more waste products out with it. And if you're eating a good diet of fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds, you're going to have more minerals than you know what to do with. So if that were true, then drinking mud would be great because it's loaded with minerals. Water should be able to cleanse and detoxify the body. The purer the water, the better the detoxification. So I've heard that too, but I don't agree with it. Let me come here.
How do you feel about the fake meats, the hot dogs?
The fake meats, the hot dogs and the turkeys and stuff like that, I have a real tough time digesting them. And a lot of times they have autolyzed yeast or hydrolyzed vegetable proteins in them, or textured soy protein. Textured soy protein gives free glutamic acid, which can become an excitotoxin to the brain and destroy your brain. So I like them, but I'd be careful. I don't eat a whole lot of them because I don't have a good reaction to them. So, and again, there's 120,000 other foods. So, sir.
What do you think about corn sensitivities, allergies?
Corn sensitivities, that's a big one, yes. But a lot of times, once you fix the digestive system, a lot of those allergies get better. Because the reason we have allergies is because we're absorbing big chunks of protein. Once we calm down the colon, we close up those holes. It's called leaky gut syndrome. The gut doesn't leak big proteins into the blood anymore, and then many times we can handle it. That being said, it goes back to genetically modified. Most corn is genetically modified. So, not a big fan of that. They have organic corn, but again, you always run the risk of cross-contamination. We've opened up Pandora's box with genetically modified foods, and we can't close it anymore. And so that really concerns me, and I don't know what to do about it. I wish I had that answer, okay? But I try to stay away from the most genetically modified foods, which are soybeans, corn, and wheat. Ma'am?
What do you think of the probiotics, or do you want to take them?
Absolutely. Probiotics are great. You want to take them on an empty stomach before anything, because if you have stomach acid, it can destroy the probiotics. So first thing in the morning, before you brush your teeth, before you swallow your own saliva, you want to take your probiotics. Wait about a half hour, then take other things.
So a half hour before the apple cider vinegar?
Half hour before the apple cider vinegar. You got to get it from the stomach into the small intestine right away. If you have food with it, it's going to destroy it.
How about before you go to sleep, probiotics?
Well, you probably have food then, in the stomach still. And so I'd rather do it first thing in the morning. You get more bang for your buck if you do it first thing in the morning.
Are nut butters as okay as nuts?
Nut butters are excellent. Almond butter, cashew butter, sesame butter. Excellent, excellent. Stay away from peanut butter. Oh, by the way, a big tip for you. Peanuts are high in arginine. Arginine is nature's Viagra. Woo! No. It opens up your blood vessels. It creates nitrous oxide in the blood vessels, opens up the blood vessels. The problem is that too much arginine competes with lysine to suppress viruses, especially the herpes virus. In Atlanta, 1 out of 3 people have herpes. So if you have herpes of any kind, and I'm not making judgment here, oral or anywhere, or shingles, if you take peanuts, it kind of fights with the lysine that suppresses the herpes virus, and you can get outbreaks. So I'm not a big fan of peanuts. Peanuts also have a chemical called mycotoxin. Mycotoxins can cause a lot of allergic reactions. Not a big fan of peanuts, any way, shape, or form, even organic. But almond butter or cashew butter is a whole lot better than peanut butter anyway. More questions? Yes?
Lysine, that's in that tomato canned products in jars, right? Isn't that the stuff that's in canned tomato products and stuff?
Lysine in canned tomato products. I don't know that. Oh, lycopene. Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah. Lycopene, lysine, very similar. Yeah. Yes?
Where's that spot? I didn't quite get where you said that.
At the end of the seminar, we take a break. Everybody go over, get my books, get my supplements, get my tapes. We have amazing deals today. Please buy them. I don't want to bring them back all the way to Atlanta. We'll make you some amazing deals, and then when you come over there, I'll show you how to do that. And I'll sign my books, too. More questions? Come on, we got 3 more minutes of tape. Come on.
I see that you're on your products that you have barley in your supplement.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be a problem?
I've never had anyone with celiac ever have a problem taking the supplements, even though it has a little bit of barley in it. It's never been a problem. Okay? Oh, rebooting the brain. That's right. The best part. Come on up. This is so cool. Joel, you didn't remind. He forgot. See, you got to know this. Okay, what's your name? Anthony. Anthony, Joe Esposito. All right, but you knew that. You're here. Okay. Most of us use one side of our brain more than the other, because the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. This is advanced neurology. This is stuff you can teach your neurodiagnostics and your neurosurgeons. I have patients that are in comas. When I do this stuff, many times start to get function back. This is powerful, powerful stuff I'm going to teach you right now, and it's going to be practical for you. You work the mouse all day. You brush your teeth, you zip your fly, you drive your car, you talk on a phone, one side of the body more than the other. So you're stimulating one side of the brain more than the other. By the end of the day, your brain essentially short circuits. So what we need to do is show you a way to reboot the brain and get the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain talking to each other every minute of every day. When that occurs, you get smarter. As women get older, the communication between the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, called the corpus callosum, gets bigger. Women's brain is able to talk one side to the other better than men's brains are as they get older. As we get older, the corpus callosum shrinks. So there is rationale behind women's intuition. A woman can talk to the right side and left side of the brain, especially as she gets older, better than a man can. So ladies, there's a plug for you. Yay! But let me show you how to reboot the brain. Okay? First, let's see how strong our friend is here. Put your arm out. Push up real hard. Wow. Push up again. Any sickly old women I could use, maybe? No. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to short-circuit his brain. I'm going to fix it, though. Don't worry. Okay? I'm going to have him use one side of his brain and then the other. Kind of a sample of what you do all day. I want you to march in place, but I want you to march right arm, right leg, left arm, left leg. Perfect. Good. Keep up like that. Right arm, right leg, left arm, left leg. What I'm doing is I'm using the right side of his brain and then the left side. And then the right side and then the left side. I'm segregating, not integrating. No, you're starting to do it right now. Don't do it right. You're going to ruin everything. There. Okay, right. Wrong. There you go. Why don't you do it wrong? There you go. Perfect. So what I'm doing is I'm using the right side and then the left side, essentially simulating what you do in a day. You don't coordinate your brain. And so what happens by the end of the day, your brain essentially short circuits. So what did we do? We didn't get enough water. We ate saturated fats. We ate alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener. We clumped our red blood cells together. Our digestive system wasn't working. So no wonder we're tired at the end of the day. And then we do this. So watch what happens. Okay, you can stop. Put your arm up. Push up real hard.
Well, I'm tired myself.
Yeah, that's it. Push up again. Okay, for the keys to Joel's car. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, push up real hard. Isn't that amazing? I'm going to fix you now. I'm going to make you more tired, but you're going to get stronger. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an exercise called cross crawl. If you've ever been around a child and a child starts to crawl and they crawl like this, first sign of brain damage. The nice part is their brains heal. Okay? And now we're finding adult brains can heal too. I'm going to have you march in place again. We're going to have you march right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg. Cross crawl. Uh-oh, I broke it. What I'm doing is I'm using the right side and the left side of the brain at the same time. Okay? So if you got out of bed in the morning and you marched to the bathroom, what you're doing is you're stimulating your brain better than a cup of coffee ever can. Okay, you can stop, put your arm up, push up real hard. Isn't that incredible? Got a bug around you. Push up again. Pretty cool, huh? So you're not worn out, because now you're more worn out. Make sense? Thank you, sir. Pretty neat, huh? So when you march to the bathroom, I want you to march like that. Folks, we're just about out of time. Please come over to the table, pick up your books and tapes and supplements, and I'll be more than happy to answer any more questions for you. Did you have fun today? Yes. Thanks, guys. I had a good time. Thanks a lot.